Hello and welcome to the Stratazine podcast. I'm Abby Nelson, and joining me today is...
I'm Mary.
I'm Tessa.
I'm Lizzie.
I'm Presley.
I'm Shiam.
And our topic for today is capturing and keeping attention. Mary researched the latest in psychology of attention. Could you introduce us to what you discovered?
Yeah, of course. Attention is one of our most valuable resources, but with so many things competing for our attention, marketers have to be really smart about what they do to capture the audience's attention. I wanted to dive deeper into why we pay attention to what we do.
Today, I'm going to be talking about the science behind attention. Ben Parr, a researcher of attention, said, "Attention is the common currency across all business. It's the most important currency you can have. Because attention is the common currency, everyone wants a piece of it. They want to get their information in front of you. This has created a rise in content produced." Riveri.io states, according to the latest estimates from Statista, approximately 402.74 million terabytes of data are generated daily. With the rise of data and so many competing interests for our attention, we've lost the ability to focus. In 2008, our attention span was 12 seconds. In 2025, reports say that our attention span has shrunk to 8.25 seconds. 8 seconds is all you have to get someone's attention, and it may seem short, but let's put it into perspective. In 8 seconds, a hummingbird can flap its wings 1,600 times. Every 8 seconds, a baby is born. A bull rider has to stay on a bull a full 8 seconds to earn a score. The time isn't the issue. You just have to maximize every second. So what influences our attention? There are two leading theories. The first is passive consumption. The media chooses what you, the consumer, sees. For example, algorithms. More recent research supports the second theory, the uses and gratification theory. You consume media to fill a need. For example, you choosing which media to engage with based on your needs. The lesson? Know the needs of your audience to maximize the 8 seconds of attention. For Stratazine, I'm Mary.
Awesome. So with that information in mind, how does your attention span influence how you consume media?
I feel that my attention span, it definitely depends on what kind of media is being pitched to me. So what emotions are playing into the specific products being pitched, and what factors play into why I stay past those 8 seconds. My brother was away from home for a while, and I really miss him. He's one of my best friends, and there was this, funnily enough, a butter commercial, and it told a very similar story of like a son being away from the home for Thanksgiving, and they all stayed up late and they made Thanksgiving dinner and waited for him to come home. And it was a longer commercial. I don't usually stay for commercials that are longer, but I think because it played into those emotions that I was feeling, it allowed me to make that then decision of like, I want to stay and I want to feel this emotion, or I want to see what happens with this. And those factors help me stay past those 8 seconds.
I love that. I think that ties into knowing your target market and really maximizing those 8 seconds so that your target demographic is totally dialed in to what they want and what they're looking for in the media that they're choosing. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you guys, Mary, for your research, and Presley for sharing that. Such a good story. Next, we'll move to Tessa, which you've been researching attention killers. Will you tell us about that?
Yeah. So when we talk about engagement, it's so easy to focus on what's grabbing our attention, but our attention itself is actually very fragile. Most of the time, audiences don't drift away randomly. They're actually being pushed away.
Like I said, attention is fragile. Small friction points make audiences drop out faster than we expect. The first big one is lack of relevance. When content doesn't clearly communicate value, viewers subconsciously think, this isn't for me. Audiences are always asking 3 questions. Who is this for? What do I gain? Why should I care? If your content doesn't answer those immediately, and if viewers don't see themselves in the message, they move on. Lindsay Roundtree from ExchangeWire said that in the attention economy, we expect content to be personalized, which is why brands that deliver messages to the right audience at the right time will have their customers doing a double take. Another major killer is cognitive overload. When there's too much happening, busy visuals, complicated ideas, or heavy jargon, watching starts to feel like work. Cognitive psychologist Masha Amaragic wrote an article stating that working memory is the mental system that allows us to hold, manipulate, and connect information. It's powerful and limited. When we are overloaded, errors increase, decisions take longer, creativity disappears, not by choice. Predictability and boredom also drives attention away. If content isn't surprising or doesn't spark curiosity, it's not worth stopping for and it's seen as boring. Crowdspring.com tells us that when someone has a gap in their knowledge on a topic they care about or don't know about, they will take action to find out what they want to know. No curiosity means no pause. Finally, there's distraction. Social media content isn't just competing with other posts, it's competing with notifications, messages, and your entire digital ecosystem. If your content doesn't stand out fast, it gets drowned out. In an article by the National Library of Medicine on distractions, it was stated that internet enables users to be permanently online and permanently connected. As a consequence, users can permanently be distracted by media. By drawing away users' attention, distractions take up limited cognitive resources. So in short, it's not that audiences don't want to pay attention, it's that distractions, divided focus, and cognitive overload literally make it harder for our brains to stay with one thing. The takeaway? To earn attention, content must be clear, simple, relevant, and curiosity-driven. Because on social media, attention isn't given, it's earned. For Stratazine, I'm Tessa.
So my question, do you think it's harder to get attention now, or do you think that's the creator's fault for not trying hard enough to get that attention?
I would say personally, it's a lot harder to get attention now. And I think that there's two kind of main reasons. The first one being that we're living in an era where the content's just getting shorter and shorter. Like growing up as a kid, we would watch like full YouTube videos, but now we have YouTube Shorts and we have Instagram Reels. And so like all of these just short snippets. And I think that definitely like we're so used to consuming all this short media that, we're kind of not paying attention to things for a very long time. And then I would also say that with the high concentration of media and like how fast we're consuming it, I think that overwhelm of just all of the information we're gaining in like, the hours that we're scrolling just is so overwhelming. I know for me personally, I want to kind of get to things that are interesting to me because I've already seen so many things that I just don't care about.
Oh, I love that. And then another question I was thinking of, what attention killers are the most damaging?
I would love to talk about which attention killers are the most damaging, and it also leads perfectly right into my next topic. So it's so important to understand what is killing your content and what is killing your audience's attention. So some of those things can be visuals without words. So words are so important to catch people's attention. It's what they're reading right off the bat. And so if you have a visual without words, it's not likely to draw your attention. Stuff with no captions. Many people tend to scroll without audio, whether that be you're just in a quiet place or you forgot headphones. And if there's no captions on your video, then you tend to just scroll right past it because you're not reading it. Also, if there's an unclear point, people like to get straight to the point right away. And so if you don't know exactly what the video is talking about immediately, then you tend to just get bored and scroll right past. Bad visuals, so shaky, blurry videos. Right? The future is all about new visuals and good visuals. So if you have bad visuals, it's going to make your audience scroll past right away. Forced trends. People can sense when you're being fake, so really being authentic, it will hold their attention for longer. And slow starts, right? The first 3 seconds are the most valuable, and that's what I'll talk about in just a second. But if you have a slow start, your audience is not going to be drawn in, so you need to be able to have something fast, get right to the point, have clear starts. So that goes straight into my point. And as a doom scroller myself, I've been taking tabs on what makes me stop my scroll, as well as researching what catches a person's attention in the first few seconds.
I want you to think about the videos that you watch on your social media feed. What made you stop and watch? Most likely a really good hook. I want you to keep that in mind as we go through this content. Every good hook has these 5 things. Viewers love authentic content. Think about when you see AI content. It's not as compelling because it's not authentic. Personality is so important because every viewer loves a good host, someone who is entertaining. You should draw the audience back in with curiosity. It will make them want to wait until the end. As far as emotion, viewers stop for content that makes them feel something. Last but not least, keep the point concise and don't add fluff. So we're going to watch this quick video real quick.
Yeah. So this is a chute or a couloir we're gonna hit. Okay.
This video is a great example of drawing your audience in with curiosity as to what is going to happen on the ski slope. They also draw you in with personality, because seriously, who can't love that cute little girl's personality? Now we're going to look at different types of hooks. There are many different types of hooks. The question hook, which we just saw in the last video, Bold statement, like a hot take, to get people to take a second look. A relatable problem, like a point of view. Facts or statistics, especially when it's laid over a green screen, you're doing this wrong angle to show that you can offer something of value and help. And the bandwagon effect evokes a sense of FOMO in the viewer so they can see what they might miss out on if they don't watch. Now, this quick reel here.
Why do I throw rocks back to the jump?
This reel is a strong example of a question hook because it evokes a sense of curiosity in the viewer. Why does he throw rocks? It's kind of weird. So, for more information and reference to the sources in this video, check out our show notes and the attributions at the end of our podcast.
All right, so just like we watched a few of the videos, a few of shorts there, I want you guys to actually pull out your phones and think about the videos that you watch. So I want you guys to all pull out your social media, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, etc. And as you are scrolling, stop on the first thing that grabs your attention. So scrolling is a regular part of almost everyone's day, whatever channel it is on. If you can take a step back and realize what is making you stop on your own feed, you can take that and make it your own so you can start creating content that will hook your audience. We'll start with Presley.
So I was on Facebook. One of my big goals recently has been to kind of get into food prep. And I think it's so fun how like the different cuts happen with food videos. And so that's a lot of my feed right now, specifically on Facebook and on Instagram as well, of just cute people making really good food or like private chefs that go and cook for people. And I feel like those are often the videos because that's something that I'm currently interested in and it's targeted towards me that continuously stops my attention.
Yeah, totally. I think personal content really hits your views. So we'll go to Shion.
Yeah, so I pulled up Threads, and the first thing that I saw was one of those like secret like spoiler alert kind of things. And so it's where they'll like have a little bit of text and then they'll hide the rest behind like these little sparkles. So the sparkles of course catch your attention because it's movement. But then it said spoiler alert in like all big words. So I'm like, what are they spoiling? Like I want to know. So it's that curiosity that like made me stop instantly and be like, I want to click on it. I want to read what it says.
Yeah, totally. Curiosity is one of the huge hooks that is most commonly used. So
Mine was a lot like Shion's. I also stopped for curiosity. I was on Instagram, and on Instagram Reels, I do it for entertainment. And so the one that I stopped on, it says, like, the caption is, "The story just keeps getting better." And I'm like, oh, will I find it funny as well? Is this something that I'm also interested in? So I think curiosity is something that stops me a lot of the time.
totally.
I actually went on LinkedIn. I'm working on getting internships right now, so that's kind of my main focus of when I'm on social media. I'm trying to like get advice and look for more things. But I stopped at this really cute little graphic. It's these little geese. It's a little picture of geese like walking in the distance with an inspirational quote at the bottom. And I love advice. I love reading quotes. I have a little quote book at home. So anything that I can find that just makes me uplifted and feel happy, I like to stop for. So that was something cute that I saw.
Definitely.
Awesome. You guys, what a fun thing to do, right? I think as we become practitioners in social media, we have to actually look at our own social and be like, what is making us stop? One thing I want to point out for all of you is you talked about authentic content for yourself. When we use that word authenticity, it's bringing value to your target audience, right? Each of yours is so different. Your question in the beginning was, I think it's back to your question, actually. You talked about, was it the creator's fault? And ultimately, it's a partnership, right? There's this connection as a consumer and a connection as a creator to make that authentic content for that specific person. So there's this, right? Is there a perfect formula? It's actually unique to each of you. We call it the TikTokification of social media right now, and that's that For You algorithm. That's that ability to come in and say, I'm bringing value to Mary, I'm bringing value to Shion, bringing value to Lizzie, right? And coming in and saying, what is that? And oftentimes this leads right into our next topic, right? Presley, you talked about delivery and first impressions. So tell us about that delivery and first impressions. What makes us stop for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really incredible in all of our discussion how first impressions like leave people feeling with videos targeted specifically towards us or like let's say a product pitched to us. How does that leave us feeling? And so I kind of took a deeper dive into the science behind that, looking at our brains and how visuals play into our emotions. We're talking today about why delivery or the way you present your content plays such a crucial role in engagement. Research from Book LY states that 90% of the information our brains take in is visual, and we retain 80% of what we see. Our brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text alone, so strong delivery is not the only factor, but also how your audience understands and remembers any content. One helpful tip for strong delivery is leading with visuals. Since most text gets skipped, your visuals often communicate the intended message first. Delivery also affects motivation. People engage more when they feel autonomy, competence, and connection. Clear visuals like the one here from sprecdesign.com, along with relatable tone, help your audience feel included and motivated to interact, which strengthens consumer interaction. Emotion also plays a huge role. People rely more frequently on emotion than information when evaluating brands, and likability for brands or content can be one of the strongest predictors of engagement. Megan Monaghan explains some additional tips to better deliver using tone, pacing, and emotional cues. These shape how your audience feels and how they are likely to respond. And finally, your delivery must match your message. MedicalExpress.com shows us that when the text and image contradict each other, the message becomes confusing and credibility drops. But when they align, your content feels clear, trustable, and easy to engage with. We can use these sources to boost your delivery. For Strategy, 9 Presley. Awesome. I've seen numerous posts and like announcements for specific events and things. And you know, the same goal is across the board, like always consistent, to get information out. I work for an apartment complex, so it's interesting how specific delivery when posting for the residents of like, hey, we have an event going on, hey, come to this, or your rent is due, how the delivery of that is so specific. And kind of how that differs to their specific emotions as well. Have y'all seen those videos where it's like this Minecraft generator? It's like this Minecraft guy just doing Minecraft things. And the video and the joke of it all is this girlfriend trying to communicate with her boyfriend, and it's just not clicking. And so she puts it into this generator to have the text over the Minecraft guy just doing his thing. And then the joke is then he clicks, it clicks, and he understands what she's trying to say. I think that kind of goes into a lot of how my emotions play into that specific engagement.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example of using emotions to play into engagement. So thank you for that. So I think emotions decide faster than logic. So we feel things first. And I think that's so important when making content, is to realize that emotions feel first. And so making your audience feel something also creates a higher engagement rate. So more joy and excitement and humor tends to get more shares, which is really good for your engagement and gets your video more seen, right? Anger, outrage, as we've seen, gets lots of comments because people just want to comment on it all the time. Fear and surprise tends to get attention, also more shares because it's like, oh my goodness, I gotta show my friends this. Relatability and validation tends to get saves because you're like, oh, I want to come back and look at this. Authentic emotions beat polished content. So people can sense when it's fake, and so it's really important, as we just keep going back to that same point, authenticity is so important. And so we also feel seen when people play into our emotions. So when there's a video that hits our emotions just right, you feel seen by the creators and the audience.
Yeah, I love that. I love kind of the difference of what is shared versus saved and saved versus liked. I think that's really important to consider as well.
Absolutely. That all goes into making that high quality content, right? And telling a story, which leads to our next topic. Presley, Shion, sorry, this is what you've researched. Will you tell us about this for storytelling?
Yeah, so kind of exactly what they were talking about. Like, stories are so important in content creation because they help us feel those emotions. I mean, how many of us have read a book that just like made us feel so joyful and happy at the end? Or watched a movie that just like made us into tears? Like, we were just bawling afterwards. And like, that's the power that storytelling and content creation can have in connecting you guys with your audience. So I did some research on that.
Stories have been a part of our lives for as long as we can remember, and because of this, they catch our attention. Stories connect with us by evoking emotion, creating empathy, and allowing us to relate better to others. One of the most important and powerful aspects of storytelling in digital social media is the memory factor. We are more likely to remember content with stories because of the powerful emotion that stories create. On top of that, stories are more interesting. It builds a feeling of reliability, honesty, connection, and community. If you want genuine show-stopping storytelling, it's so important to understand that authenticity is always more important than aesthetic or perfection. Now, there are two types of storytelling, visual and verbal. Visual hooks are striking visual images or movement that catches the eye. But there are many types of visual storytelling. The main three are graphics, video and animation, and photos. Verbal storytelling is as simple as a beginning, middle, and end. But if you really want to stop your audience, introduce them to a conflict and show them a resolution. You'll want your story to have a lot of these characteristics of storytelling because it's these elements of truth, fun, and clarity that will keep your audience's attention throughout the whole story. And finally, there are a lot of story structures you could follow depending on each type of content you're creating. Each one has infinite potential to be your next scroll-stopping story.
Yeah. So, like I was talking about, there are so many different ways that you can tell stories. But one of the most important things to realize is your content shouldn't be a novel. You shouldn't be kind of doing that slow build up to get to that point. With content creation, especially nowadays, with the importance of attention and, how fragile that is, like we've talked about, we want our stories to kind of get to the point, getting them to that conflict or whatever that, key hook is can be so important in keeping that story and keeping your audience's attention throughout that whole story. So I have a question. When have one of you guys seen a story online that just caught your attention?
One of my favorite ads that I've ever seen, I saw in high school when I was studying ASL. And it's an ad for Pepsi. I don't even like Pepsi, but I still remember this ad. It was so good. It's about these two deaf men that are driving. They're taking Pepsi to a football game, so obviously they need to be there. And they lost the address of the house, so they start laying on the horn, and all these lights start coming on, but one house stays dark. And so they know that that's the house that they're supposed to go to because their friend is also deaf. And so it's kind of like the humor aspect of everything, but it had every element of the storytelling like you were talking about. It had the conflict, and then it had the resolution, and it also portrayed Pepsi's values, which is connection and being authentic with people. And it hit a different demographic, which I also think played into the story and made it a little bit more impactful. Is we don't see ads like that very often. So yeah, I think that storytelling is super, super important because that's what really will connect your audience to what you're trying to sell.
Yeah, totally. I know the amount of times that I follow creators just because, it's like a mom and a dad that tell funny stories about their kids, or it's someone explaining this whole story of this crazy event, but then, they split it up into lots of mini sections so that they're not boring us in one really long video. I do that all the time. I love stories. And so it's just such a good example, your example of, how that story connects us to things that maybe we don't even like, because stories are so unifying.
Absolutely. You guys, I love what we've discussed today. Mary, thank you for your thoughts on storytelling. But after we've had this whole discussion, what do you guys think is the most important factor in attention grabbing content right now? What are we looking at?
I think kind of in conclusion, the general theme that I'm getting is with attention grabbing, stopping the hook, a lot of it does have to do with emotion and our personal interests. I think those are the very consistent things that as we target emotion, as marketers target emotion, really any time of using social media, that emotion and interest is often the key to keeping past those 8 seconds, storytelling. All of it just kind of ties together with those two things.
I was going to say, going along with that, I feel like authenticity is a huge thing. That you have that emotion, but we all talked about how you need to be authentic. That's what your audience wants.
Yeah, totally. I think one of the parts of the key to success is learning what the future will look like. And so I think what our future will look like in content creation and in social media is fast clips, fast videos, quick content. Right? So many of you have talked about attention grabbing. I also agree with the authenticity part. I mean, all of it just kind of works together and just kind of all molds together for the best kind of content. So I think the later generations are always on social media, and social media is always fast paced. And so what does this mean? It means content will be faster because your audience won't want to stay for content that is long and drawn out, right? Not a narrative, like Xion was saying. And so audience will give more focus to that content that is more a little bit fast paced. And algorithms will know us better than we know ourselves. And so content will feel like it is made for you specifically in the future. So we really need to cater towards those algorithms and personal content. And as AI improves and the feed is more crowded with it, people will crave real, authentic interactions and people. So we really need to, goes back to that authenticity. Since AI is growing a lot more, we really need to have authentic content.
Exactly. Like everyone's been saying, I think we do. I think we will be seeing a shift in people starting to look for value and depth and meaningful content again. When everything's fighting for your attention, the things that stand out are the ones that provide that value, that tell a good story, or that make people feel something, that give them that emotion. In the future, capturing attention won't just be about stopping that scroll. It'll be about earning trust of your audience and giving people a reason to stay. A strong hook might get someone to pause for a second, but content doesn't feel meaningful, then they're going to leave. Relevance, it really connects everything together from what we talked about: the psychology of attention, avoiding attention killers, stopping the scroll, delivery, storytelling. In the end, keeping attention isn't just about being entertaining, it's about making the audience feel like they spent their time well.
Yeah, can I add on to that? I just think that the more, we talk about authenticity, storytelling, relevance, all of these things, and it really comes down to the marketer's responsibility to really know their audience to the best of their ability. Creating those personas, making sure that they understand who their content is going to and why they're going to stop and click. Because, like you said, audiences want to spend time on things that matter to them. And so if audience or marketers, influencers, if they're out of touch with their audience, they're not going to be able to produce that content. So that's one of the main things, is making sure that you know who your target demographic is at all times and being in touch with them.
Absolutely. I have loved this discussion today. I feel like you've taught me some things too that I'm going to keep in my pocket. But a couple of things that have really stood out, right? Content is king. We have to go and make really, really good content. And that looks different in different spaces for different platforms. We talk about this attention span of 8 seconds, but we also are doom scrollers, right? We are also our binge watchers, and we value our time, right? Time is valuable, and that's something that we want to spend our time well. So if we have that moment of really good content, it keeps us there a lot longer than 8 seconds. I don't know if you're like me, but I definitely can binge watch a show. And Lizzie admitted it, so I'm going to call her out, right? Right? The doom scroller. So having that ability to come in and say, okay, who is this person? What kind of content are we making? And is it creating and bringing value to them? And I think that's where that word authenticity comes in, of that's different for each of us. So you guys, thank you so much for today. This was so fun. I love talking to you. I love learning from you. So also, thank you for joining this edition of Strategizing. Make sure to check out additional podcasts on digital and social media and on our YouTube channel. Thank you.